everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have audio for this morning? Yes, no, maybe we do. Thanks, Rob. Good morning, everybody. This is Marilyn, and it is time for the noon edition of Welcome to My World. This is the 30th of March, which is a Wednesday, crude oil inventory day, among other things. So I hope everybody had a nice morning this morning. We've got quite a little bit of volatility, and for those of you who may not have experienced what happens to these markets when Mrs. Yellen speaks, yesterday was a real good example of that. The markets are a little bit like a live person, I guess. They kind of hold their breath when they don't quite know what's going to happen. And so all morning yesterday, the markets kind of held their breath. And then when she spoke, all of a sudden, it just made the markets very, very, very happy. Everybody was very happy, except the U.S. dollar. But when you have a big run up like that, you kind of expect a little bit of a sell-off at some point. So we've seen that bonds definitely were down this morning, and the indices were all up because I think they're responding to the dollar going down yesterday. And we have crude oil was pretty interesting this morning. The expectation was that the build would be a little higher than anticipated. So this morning, we had lots of green E's, and we had a move up around around 9:30, and we had one about 8:30 for a few ticks. But then when the inventory report finally hit at 10:30, it jumped around for a couple of minutes here and decided, you know what, it was a lot less than what they thought, and so down and down it went. But this was a really nice move here if you could stick with it. This trend band and the trend flip can sure help keep you in a trend. So if you took that from the E and then just kind of trailed it down, this especially is good for the people who trade Nadex, because if you can find a good spread directionally, that's a great time to do that. But you do need to wait a couple of minutes to see what it's really going to do. The Canadian dollar has been pretty happy. I don't know if anybody trades that, but that's the symbol is 6C. But that was pretty happy today also. We've got the VIX is way down, which that's what you expect with that enormous run up yesterday on the after the Fed speech, Mrs. Yellen speaking at 12:30. Anyway, the VIX right now is trading about 13.5, and that's where it normally trades when the bulls are in control of the market. So when it starts to go back up, if you recall, I don't know, it's a couple, 3 weeks ago, it was just over 28. That is that likely will start to happen again when we see the indices start down, with the idea that they plan to stay that way. Gold this morning had absolutely no volume in it. And it still doesn't seem to have much volume in it. But it did make a nice move for trend traders. And I know Daryl really does like to trade gold with the Nadex because the spreads track very, very close to the underlying contract. And keep in mind, today we rolled last night to the June contract. You should be on, if you have gold charts up, you should, everything has to be on the June contract. We've had a couple of questions, plus a few extras, um, for people who come in and they're trading the spot forex pairs and asking, and some of them trade the straight up spot forex, and some are trading the Nadex products. And the questions have been related to what's a good time to watch what pairs or trade, what's the best trading time for what pairs. So I thought I'd take a second to remind everybody that in general, you have to have a global view of all the markets. You have to get a big picture view, and these markets follow the sun. So when it's open here in the U.S., which is from 9:30, basically 9:30, electronically we trade around the clock, but the U.S. markets are the most active in the mornings, Eastern time. 9:30 to 4 is open outcry for most of these markets. Some of them have a little different hours, so be sure you know for the markets that you are trading when that open outcry is, because there's going to be more volume at that time. But once this market closes, then the next market to open follows the sun, so it's going westward bound. The next market is going to be the Tokyo exchanges, which is the Nikkei. They operate starting about 6 in the afternoon our time on until whatever it is, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is. But then this keep going west, and you end up in Europe about 2 o'clock in the morning, and the European markets open then. The Bourse in Germany will open, I think, about 1, and the LIF in London will open about 2 in the morning. And those are heavily traded markets. So if you're in a different time zone, you're going to, whatever you're trading is going to be affected by where the activity is. Then if you, once you get that down, realize what's going to affect those currencies, the currencies that are affected by those markets. And then you start watching the news. There's a great news tab on the Apex website, and a little quick summary I like is Forex Factory has a calendar on it. You can scan it really fast, and it lists the currency pairs there. So, for example, there is a bunch of economic news coming out tomorrow. Let's just kind of go over that. Tomorrow morning, starting about 2 o'clock in the morning, is a whole bunch of economic numbers that will affect the euro and the British pound sterling. And that'll go on till about 5 o'clock in the morning. There's a lot of economic numbers on those. So those are times to be watching those currencies. Then as the U.S. market opens, we've got 7:30 is Challenger job cuts, which doesn't usually do too much to us. But at 8:30 are the unemployment claims, and it's also the Canadian GDP. The Canadian dollar, that can rock that, and it can also affect crude oil, because crude oil, the currency, the corresponding correlating currency for crude oil is Canadian dollar. Then at 9:45 we have Chicago PMI and nat gas storage. But then tomorrow in the late afternoon or evening, wherever you are, uh, there are economic numbers from Japan and China. So if you like to trade the anything crossed with the Japanese yen, you need to be aware of those times. And yes, and Mike Denali, thanks very much. That's an excellent point. He put a note in here that tomorrow at 12 noon, which is Thursday, is a big crop report, and that will affect the grains. So if you're trading those Nadex products in corn and beans, you need to pay particular attention to that. The whole point of this news business is so you don't sit there completely naive to what's going on in the world and focused on your little chart right in front of you. You have to do it the other way around. You have to realize what's going on around you and then get focused on your little chart. So you start with a big picture of what's happening, and then you zero that in a little closer to what's happening in your world, and then you zero that down to what's happening on your charts. Don't try to go the other way around, because it's likely going to bite you pretty hard at some time. Anyway, I also wanted to let you know that the workers in the workshop, in the I don't know, I think of it as the back room of Apex, are working really hard on some new stuff that's going to be very cool. So don't have an ETA on it. It's just exactly what Daryl says. It's ready when it's ready, and we'll let you know when it's ready. But some of this is just wonderfully cool. I'm very impressed. So we have that to look forward to. Tomorrow's the last trading day of the month, so we might have some volatility, and it's time to be working real closely with your business plan to see that your March numbers are going to be on track, or if they're not, what you need to do in April to correct that. And hopefully that'll help keep you on track for ending the year with a really nice trading year behind you. And it's a lot easier to tweak things for the next year than to start all over and just be clueless. So every little step that you can use to build to lead yourself down the path of success with your trading makes things, it just gets easier and easier after a while. And I know every once in a while we all need to remind ourselves of that, because it's kind of like people look at this and they say, oh, well, this looks easy. Yeah, well, that's the way it looks. Doing it, not so much. So anything you can do to educate yourself and keep yourself working right on track, it will make next year a more successful and easier year than this year, and so it builds. So anyway, this has been my view from my world in Apex land, brought to you by Apex Investing. I'll see you tomorrow.